Guys, thanks very much once again for joining me in my latest Pakistan Super League review. We've just seen a brilliant final, which was obviously won by Islamabad United on the last ball and played in front of a full house at the National Stadium in Karachi. For once, the fans turned up, which was good to see. But what a scintillating final it was. It was a brilliant game of cricket, which, as I say, went down to the last ball. Today, I'm going to chat about Multan Sultans and their journey in PSL 9 and their strengths, their weaknesses, what went well, what didn't go so well. So let's start with the fact that they have now lost 3 finals in a row. The bridesmaid 3 times, but not the bride. That must be hurting them. That will be hurting their fans. It'll be hurting the management and the players as well as to what is going wrong because they topped the group stage once again, 7 wins out of 10. Fantastic. On paper, they look the team to beat. They look like the team that was the other teams were looking to as the main rivals. And on paper, as I said, they looked absolutely unbeatable in terms of the squad depth, their strengths, their tactics, their preparation, and the players that they had available. So when it got to the group stage, they looked untouchable, really. And then they beat Peshawar Zalmi comfortably to reach the finals. So all looking good, feet up, waiting to see who their opponents would be. And as I say, on paper, it all looked hunky-dory. It all looked fantastic for them. And, they look like champions elect. But cricket isn't played on paper, is it? It's played on grass, and we know, especially in the T20 format, anything is possible. And, well, it just went all pear-shaped for Multan Sultans. Before we come to the final, I mean, looking at their squad, as I said, all the bases were covered. They had strength in depth. They were brilliantly led by a captain, Mohammad Rizwan, who we all know is a wonderful leader. He's a great tactician. He's somebody who can motivate his players. He can get the best out of his players. Players that you think, well, they're quite average in terms of batting or bowling. He squeezes that extra 10, 15% out of them, raises their game. And, they look different players playing under Mohammad Rizwan than they do when they sometimes play for Pakistan or other teams as well. Looking at the batting, Usman Khan, what a pick he's been. 430 runs, average of 107.50. Incredible. But not only the runs, the volume of the runs he scored and the average, it's that strike rate, 164.12. Those numbers are just absolutely incredible. I know people say Babar Azam had a great tournament with the bat, but just look at that strike rate compared to Babar Azam's. And you can see that Usman Khan was a fantastic pick by Multan Sultans. Iftikhar Ahmed, 259 runs, average of 64.75, strike rate of 193.28. Great numbers. Once again, he looks a different batter when he plays for Multan Sultans than he does for Pakistan, doesn't he? If only we could see this this side of Ifti regularly when he's playing for Pakistan. Pakistan would be a much stronger team for that. But unfortunately, he can't do it really on when he's playing for Pakistan on a regular basis. Reeza Hendricks, 304 runs, average of 43.42, strike rate of 134.51. Another one of the Multan Sultan's batters who had a good tournament. So the batting firepower was there. Just going back to Iftikhar Ahmed, and I'll come on to this later on. Somebody who's striking at 193.28, average of 64.75, is having a good tournament with a bat. Why did he come in at number 8 in that final? Makes no sense to me, but we'll come to that in a minute. Johnson Charles, David Malan, Yasser Khan, I thought they were below par. All 3 better than their numbers suggest in this 9th edition of the Pakistan Super League. Especially Malan. I think he's a wonderful player, but unfortunately he was not on top of his game. Johnson Charles as well played a few games, flattered to deceive. So that batting firepower was heavily reliant on Usman Khan and the likes of Iftikhar Ahmed and also Mohammad Rizwan. Now the bowling, undoubtedly the best bowling lineup in the tournament. I mean, some of these numbers are incredible. 24 wickets for Usama Mir, economy rate of 8.13. Mohammad Ali, 19 wickets, economy rate of 8.23. Abbas Afridi, 13 wickets, economy rate of 8.55. David Willey, 15 wickets, brilliant economy rate of 7.46. And they were backed up well by Khushdil Shah and Chris Jordan as well. So, and Iftikhar Ahmed bowled a little bit as well. So looking at those numbers, the economy race and the number of wickets, they had a brilliant all-round bowling lineup there. A bowling lineup that covered all bases. They had lots of variety. And as I said before, Mohammad Rizwan has this knack of getting the best out of his bowlers. And even some of the part-time bowlers like Khushdil Shah, as I mentioned, had good tournaments because, well, partly not only because they bowled well themselves, but they were brought on at the right time by Mohammad Rizwan. Clever captaincy and some wonderful bowling performances by their bowlers. Mohammad Rizwan's captaincy, we've touched upon it. As I say, he's got this brilliant knack of getting the best out of players, squeezing an extra 5 to 10% to 15% out of players that many class as average. And the performances sometimes for Pakistan have been rather average and below par. But when they're playing for Mohammad Rizwan, they're like different players. It's almost like there's no pressure on them. He's egging his players on, he's motivating them. You know, there's a mistake in the field and he smiles, he encourages his players. To me, he is, I know Shadab Khan had a good tournament as captain and ultimately Islamabad United won the tournament. Shaheen Shah Afridi is the current Pakistan T20I captain. But for me, Mohammad Rizwan is the best T20 captain in Pakistan. He should be the man who's leading this Pakistan T20I team at the upcoming World Cup. Whether that happens or not, I'm not sure. But as I say, in my opinion, he's the best tactician. He's the person who can get the best out of the Pakistani players, certainly in the T20 format, and he'd be my choice as T20 captain. His batting, though, unfortunately, Mohammad Rizwan didn't have a great tournament with the bat. I think, yeah, 407 runs, fantastic. Average of 33.91, not too bad, probably a little bit lower than he would have wanted. But that's strike rate, though. Now, this is the problem I have with batters who play at the top of the order in T20s and only have strike rate of 122.22. You've got the batting power play, you've got the new ball coming on nicely to the bat. Obviously, you've not got many fielders on the boundary. So really, those strike rates should be 140, 150. As I say, Usman Khan had a phenomenal strike rate of 164.12, which not everyone can achieve. But having played in the whole tournament and to end up with a strike rate of just 122.22, Mohammad Rizwan, that's not good enough. But great team spirit. He encourages players to express themselves. The plans are there. The effort levels cannot be doubted for Multan Sultans. And, you know, they were a brilliantly prepared team. And it was almost a formality that they would reach the final. The only thing that might have gone against them, and this shouldn't be used as an excuse, but I think the formatting of the format of the tournament needs to be looked at, because personally, I would have 6 teams, top 4, 2 semi-finals, 2 winners go into the final. Multan Sultans played their playoff match. They beat Peshawar Zalmi. Then they had no matches for 3 days, and they were through to the final. So they're sitting around waiting for 3 days, and on the 4th day, they had the match against Islamabad United. But in that time, Islamabad United had played 2 matches. Sometimes that can backfire and players get injured. But for me, in a tournament situation, I've qualified for the final. I wouldn't want to be sitting around waiting 3-4 days for my opponent. And maybe Mohammad Rizwan touched upon it. He didn't use it as an excuse, and it shouldn't be used as an excuse. But I think it's a valid concern that the organisers need to look at in terms of the structure of the tournament, the scheduling of the tournament. And as I say, I would have 2 semi-finals and straight into the final. Then there's no advantage for any team. Chokers. Are they chokers? Well, I think they are. Harsh, great team. As I say, well-led, well-organised, well-managed, with some fantastic cricketers. But they've choked 3 times now in the final. And all 3 times, you could say they were probably favourites going in. Yes, Lahore Qalandars were on a great run last 2 times. This time, Islamabad United had some players in form. But to lose 3 finals in a row, that's worrying. And yeah, people will call them chokers. And they did choke for a 3rd time in a row. Tactics. Now, I've praised the management tactics. I've praised Mohammad Rizwan's tactics. But sometimes teams can be too funky. Sometimes teams can get a little bit too clever, a little bit too smart in what they're doing, what they're trying to achieve. I think the biggest mistake that Multan Sultans made in that final was sending Iftikhar Ahmed at number 8. I just don't get that. Yeah, David Willey going in at number 3, it was a gamble, didn't pay off. But why, oh why, was Iftikhar Ahmed, who's been in great form throughout the tournament, why was he sent in at number 8? Yeah, he scored a few vital runs in the end, which I think if Sultans had won, then everybody would have said, oh, what a great masterstroke that was, sending him in that late. He scored vital runs at the end, and Multan won by a couple of runs or 1 run or whatever. Yeah, it would have been brilliant, but it was a risk. I don't get why he was sent in at number 8. Again, perhaps it's a case of trying to be too smart, too funky, too clever. Sometimes it works. More often than not, it doesn't. I mean, batting in the final for Multan Sultans, it just never really got going. They lost early wicket, and then it was just a case of dreadful shot after dreadful shot, some misjudgments, and that total that they scraped in the end was largely down to Iftikhar Ahmed. And really, they were quite fortunate to even get to that total because their batting lineup in that final was very, very strange, and their approach. And it was epitomised by Usama Mir coming in, hitting a 6 off the first ball, and then a wild slog second ball, and he's out. Now, I'm not blaming Usama Mir for that total, but just simply wasn't good enough. It was a very strange batting performance by Multan Sultans. But what can you say about them? I mean, they almost won that match with a below par total, and credit to their bowlers, to their fielders, and to the captain to make it such a great final and to come that close to winning the final. A lot of teams would have seen that, put that total up on the board and almost given up. But these guys, they fought to the bitter end, and for that they deserve credit. Multan Sultans will be disappointed that it's 3 years in a row where they've lost the final. But don't write them off next time around, and I'm sure they'll be back with a bang. Couple of tweaks here and there, and as I say, not try to be too funky with their decisions and their batting lineups. And who knows, they might actually be the bride and not the bridesmaid in PSL 10. Thank you very much for watching, folks. Got Islamabad United review coming up soon, so look out for that. Cheers. Thank you.